since I was married a year ago. I went to a baseball game. Clarence, my husband, was simply mad about baseball. But I never was very enthusiastic about outdoor sports. I knew nothing about baseball. I remember one time Clarence asked me to go with him to our meet him at watch the Lions play the Cubs. I never met him. He didn't show up. I waited all afternoon at the zoo. Wasn't that absurd? Yesterday, Clarence asked me to go with him to watch the White Sox game. I was so excited, I went down to the store and bought myself a new pair of white socks. And we got seats right next to Mrs. Pillington Bird. She had the loveliest summer hat on. I simply couldn't take my eyes off it. Of course, Clarence watched the ball players, and he said, "Do you see that hat that that ball player's wearing?" And I said, "Yes, it's perfectly stunning." He said, "You know, the catcher wears the pad, but sometimes that ball hits him above the belt." I said, "I was thinking of getting one there myself." Referring to the hat and not the ball. Wasn't that absurd? All of a sudden there was a shout. "Oh, Clarence, what did they do then?" "Struck a foul." Struck a foul? Why, the horrid things. Striking a poor innocent bird. And all the men in the grandstand seemed to enjoy it. And then there was another shout, and Clarence said, "Digby caught a fly! Digby caught a fly!" Wasn't that the silliest thing to do? Stop right in the middle of a game to catch a little fly? I suppose it was buzzing around his face and bothering him or something. Further on in the game, Clarence was tickled to death. He says our White Sox are going to whitewash the visiting team. Whitewash them? Rather a strange way, I'd say, to treat your guests. Whitewash them? It sounds like some preschool initiation stuff. After a while, Clarence turned around. He was this man at the top of the grandstand, and he was waving his hand like this. And Clarence said his friend up there had given him the high sign. And I said, "What does that mean?" "Oh," he said, "it meant a high ball." They did toss that ball awfully high. Anyway, Clarence excused himself and started up to board him. I wanted to go with him. But he said, "Oh, I'll only be a minute or two." He said, "Anyway, the men up there don't like ladies." Huh? Wasn't that absurd? I sat there, all alone, trying to appear interested in the game, when all of a sudden that man with the stick hit the ball awfully hard, and it went way up in the air. I thought it was going to come down where I was sitting. I turned around to look at Clarence, and there he was, standing at the top of the grandstand, waving his hat and yelling to me, "Come on home! Come on home, you fool! Come on home!" I was never so insulted in all my life. I turned around and started up the steps toward him. And when I got halfway up, he yelled, "Go on back! Go on back! You fool! Go on back!" Clarence had never spoken to me like that before. I turned around and started back down the steps. My feet flew out from under me, and I landed on my back in the aisle. And Clarence is yelling, "Slide! Slide!" I slid off. I slid until I bumped into a post. When Clarence saw me, he ran to my assistance. And every man, woman, and child on that grandstand rose to their feet and shouted and screamed until they were black in the face. Mortified. I nearly died. They threw their hats in the air. They hugged each other. They howled like demons. I was never so embarrassed in all my life. Why are they howling at me? I said to the parents. The White Sox, he said, the White Sox, they're gonna run it. I turned right around to that crowd and faced them like Joan of Arc or a lion at bay and shouted just as loud as I could. I don't care if they had. I guess I got another pair underneath. And Clarence sent me home. This is meant to be funny, but if I make a mistake, it could sound funny. You shouldn't be embarrassed when because Charlie Pride did it one day when he had to show up at Brad's. This is the story of Petey the snake. Petey was a little snake, just so big. He lived in a pit with his mother. Petey liked to hiss in the pit. One day Petey was hissing around in the pit. Petey's mother said, Petey, if you want to hiss, go on outside and hiss. Don't hiss in the pit. So Petey went outside to hiss. He hissed all around, and finally he leaned over and hissed in the pit. And Petey's mother heard Petey hissing in the pit. She said, Petey, if you must hiss in a pit, go on over to Mrs. Potts and hiss in her pit. When he got home, his mother said, Petey, what's the matter? Petey said, I went over to Mrs. Potts, I hissed in her pit. Mrs. Potts wasn't home, and I hissed in her pit anyway. And Mrs. Potts came home and found me hissing in her pit. And she said, Petey, if you must hiss in a pit, go on home to your own pit and hiss. Don't hiss in my pit. No, I haven't got a pit to hiss in. Mother very angry. And she said, why, that mean old snake in the grass. I remember Mrs. Potts when she didn't have a pit to hiss in.
I'm going to find out more about this charming lady. Where do you live now, Susan?
Here.
In Treehorn. You're just our neighbors here,
The
Doctor.
fine-looking fellows that you see here are grandsons of the late Abram A. Jensen and his wife Hal, to me, mother and dad. The other three of us, one is a brother-in-law, Jake Ince, he's Maggie's husband, and brother Abe, and mine, I'm Henry. Starting from the far end is Don Bargan, Harv Ince, Ron Jansen singing bass, then Jake Ince, Barry Ince, Mark Jansen singing baritone, Abe, myself, second tenor, first tenor, Terry and Gerald Jansen. At the piano, volunteer for the piano. Black trees are different than the white ones. The first song we'd like to do for you is in barbershop arrangement. It's entitled, I'd Give the World to Be in My Hometown.
I'm going back to where I came from. I'm going back to Paper Town. I'm going back to where I came from. They tell me that my friends are still around. Try it with me. I think we need a higher key in here. We'll try this one. I'm going back to where I came from. I'm going back to Paper Town. A long time. Actually, I've had it through thick and thin. I've never got very thin. Let's try it again. Okay, we'll start with the chorus. I'm going back